Hi there and welcome to my lunch break as I make this lunchtime row. Now we're going to make this the way we always do. We're going to start off with some light rowing to get a little bit warmed up before getting into the main row, and I won't waste any of your time. So let's get straight into setting up our machine ready for our session. So on a concept 2, head straight to the front and set your drag factor where you want it to be. If you don't know what drag factor is, I do have a video up here that you can watch. Next up, set your monitor at eye height so you don't have to look up and you don't have to look down. And finally, set those foot stretchers to a height where you're able to get comfortably to the front of the machine with your shins in a vertical position like this. Okay, if you are set too high, you might not be able to get quite get there. If you're set too low, you might go scooting straight past. Quick word for the non-concept 2 rowers: just set the resistance on your machine so that you get a good weight from the stroke, but you don't have to heave against it because it's too heavy. All right, so light rowing, we'll do this around about 18-20 strokes a minute. I just want you to ease into it and then build up the pace. We'll do this for around about 3 minutes before getting into the main session. All right, in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So like I said, this is a warm-up, okay? So get your body moving. I've been sitting at an edit suite all morning so far at work, so my body's a little bit shocked that I'm about to ask it to do some exercise. So make sure to ease into your power over this 3-minute light rowing section. Once you feel your body opening up a little bit, then do increase the power. If you're rowing at 20 strokes a minute, really that's up to around about a 5 or 6 out of 10 on an effort scale, which I don't like using. Much better to row with a proper pace. In this case, around about 2k plus 18 pace. And what I mean by 2k is that you row a 2,000 meter time trial, divide the resulting time by 4. And that gives you your 2k training pace, the average 500 meter time in a 2,000 meter time trial. So if you rowed it in 8 minutes, 48 seconds, you divide that by 4, which gives you 2 minutes 12 as your average to cover 500 meters, and that's your 2k training time. So when I say 2k plus 18, you take your 2k average and add 18 seconds. So in my example, that means that you would be rowing this at 2 minutes 30 per 500 meters. Now, if you don't have a monitor that shows you that, then you kind of have to go for my effort out of 10 scale, which is just a little bit too woolly to be precise. Anyway, it doesn't really matter today, because today's session is a 20-minute row, non-stop, but we are alternating from 20 strokes a minute at round about this pace and 20 strokes a minute full power. We're going to do a minute at each, so you basically get 10 go-arounds on each one. And this is about power and technique, okay? Where you get pace through using a good technique, not just power. One more stroke. There we go. So that's our 3-minute light rowing. Do continue to do some light rowing if you wish. Otherwise, set your monitor to 20 minutes, or, which is what I'm about to do, just set it to a just row, and then as each minute ticks by, you just change your stroke rate, okay? This is one, if you want to come back and look at your metrics afterwards, set it as a 20-minute row with 1-minute splits, and then you can look at it. Or, to be honest, all I care about is what I'm seeing on screen as I row this session, okay? From stroke to stroke, that's what matters as I think about what's happening with my technique. So I'll just make sure, yep, audio is running. Always a good thing to get this point and find the audio's running. Right, so that's been about a minute between the light rowing and starting this main session, so hopefully your body's ATP that you may have used is kind of recovered and you're ready to go. We're going to start this at the lighter end, so that's 20 strokes a minute, round about 5 to 6 out of 10 effort, or 2K plus 18 pace. Then after a minute, we're going to go basically up to 10 out of 10 in terms of pushing as hard as we can from our legs, and just trying to see how fast that gets us. So there's no real pace guide for that. It's an effort. I want you to put everything into your legs and see what happens, okay? Right, you ready for this then? Yeah, good. Here we go then, in 3, 2, 1, let's go. It's like I say, 20 strokes a minute, 2K plus 18 to start. So this is where you get a chance to just think about the fluid stroke and your positions. Remember, as you come into the front, straight arms, a forward tilt over your hips. It's really important that you're in this position as you hit the front of the machine. And then as you push with your legs, you hold that forward tilt and the straight arms and push with the legs until your legs are about halfway down, okay? And that's when you swing over your back and then pull in your arms. It's really important when you put in this power that you have that forward tilt. Okay, 2 more strokes. 1 more stroke. Here we go. Lay in that power. Push with the legs. So get into that forward tilt. Straight arms, push. Let the power flow through your body from your legs so it gets into the machine uninterrupted by your back or an early grab with your arms. And really do concentrate on thinking about pushing the machine away from you. You should hear the flywheel scream in acceleration. Last one. Back down to 2K plus 18. 6 out of 10 effort. Now I'm bouncing between, I'm basically going 10 seconds faster for those power 20s, okay? So I wonder how you're getting on. What's your differential between the two? Ooh. Use these to recover, of course, but don't slow down your pace. Okay, next set's coming up. In 3, 2, 1. You ready? Forward lean, push with the legs. Push. Push. Remember, your power is all legs at the front of the machine. And then only as that power starts to fade, just about halfway through the leg drive, do you swing over your back, and then as your legs and back fade, that's when you pull with your arms. Last one. Good job. Back to 2K plus 18. It's a good one for a kind of more of a muscle-based workout, but trust me, your cardio should be getting a good old kicking right now too. Well, at least mine is. Ooh, should have had a drink of water before starting this main session. All right, next one is coming up. In 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Push. I want you to focus on your arms. Nice and long at the front, and keep them straight until it's finally time at the back of the stroke to pull them in. Don't be too eager to pull early. Let that power from your legs flow through your straight arms into the machine. Ooh, one more. Back to 2K plus 18. I know it's tempting to ease the pace off for these 2K plus 18 sections, but remember, this is a short, sharp shock of a workout designed to give you, kind of top up your body or keep it from going backwards when you've only got a short amount of time. So don't cheat yourself. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And push with the legs. Now, this time, think about that forward tilt. Get into it as you send the handle away at the back of the stroke. So you're already tilted as you start sliding back, ready for the next stroke. That way you can lock the perfect position with the right posture. 3, 2, 1. Back to 18s or 2K plus 18. Ooh, sun's out. It's making things a bit weirdly warmer. I say weirdly because it's Valentine's Day right now, so it's only mid-February. It's strange to feel heat from the sun. That's why I came outside today. Get some vitamin D into me from the sunlight. Ooh. Okay, 3 strokes. 2, last one. Here we go then. Full power, come on. Push with those legs. Hold your forward tilt in your straight arms and push. Remember, a small heel lift as you come forwards is okay, as long as you can still push your legs with full force, instantly into the machine. Don't want to butt scoot. Don't want your arms grabbing early. Both of them lose your power. Whew. Last one. Oh. Back to 18s as we hit the Bon Jovi point. We're halfway there. Hopefully this session is making perfect sense from a cardio and muscle point of view for you. Oh, dropped 2 seconds there while starting a rowing workout on my watch. Whoops. Bad John. Just after telling you not to drop your pace. Okay. Coming up for the next one in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Push with those legs. Remember, you're not trying to get more length from the front by over bending your back or over compressing your legs. So shins at vertical as you come forwards and back tilted over your hips to just 1 o'clock on the clock face with a nice powerful posture. Back to 2K plus 18. It should feel like a nice standard pace. You can use these 1 minutes to reset your posture. Think about how far forwards you're sliding on the rail so that you're getting the right compression. Shins vertical, not past, not before, just vertical. And a little heel lift is fine as long as you push those legs in. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Let's go. Push, push, and then get that timing right as you come forwards. You want it like the way a ball rebounds off the floor. You go forwards and then instantly straight back out again. Okay? You're not holding the catch. Forwards, forwards, then you turn it around, change direction, instantly. Holding the front loses you power and pace. Oh, one more. There we go. Back to 2K plus 18. How many we got to do? 3. Now, if you are not feeling particularly hard effort work right now, then you are either not pushing the fast stuff fast enough, or these 2K plus 18s, you're not going fast enough either. It's okay if you drop a second here and there, but try and keep the pace up. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And look at your monitor as every stroke passes by, and think about what I've been saying technique-wise. Straight arms as you push with the legs. Hold that tilt over your back until your legs are halfway, and really push with those legs. And if you see your time slip, just think about these key points of technique. 2 more. 1 more. Ooh. Back to 2K plus 18. 2 more. Power 20s to go. Oh. I've not spoken about the finish of the stroke. Make sure to still finish strong with the handle. Finish at sternum height, no higher, no lower. Well, maybe a couple of inches either way. Get those elbows through your sides. Use your lats, not your forearms and delts. 2, 1. Here we go. Push. Get those arms nice and straight as you recover into the front of the machine. Hold them straight. Straight pull. See how long that is? Straight pull. Straight pull. I'm really holding my arms straight pull for as long as I can to let that power just flow without my biceps or shoulders fighting the power. 3, 2, 1. Back to 18s. This is the last 2K plus 18. Make sure to keep your pace strong for this last set, and then the very last power 20s. I want you to take everything I've been talking about and roll it all together to give you your fastest pace yet. It may only be 5 degrees, but I'm going to need to wash this hoodie afterwards. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Last set. Come on. Push. Get into the front and push. Feel yourself hang off the handle as you surge that power through a good posture in that forward tilt with straight arms. Your fingers are just hooked over the handle, so they just force the handle backwards with the power rather than you pulling on it. If you have to pull, chances are your drag factor is too high. Here we go. 3, 2. Oh, so I ended up 2k plus 6 at the end there. Heart rate is 161, which is about 85% of max, which is good news as far as how my body tolerated that. So if that's all you have time for, then make sure and do some kind of stretching before you just sit back down at your desk or whatever. I recommend quads, hamstrings, hip flexors if you can. Then if you have any tenderness in your arms, stretch those muscles that are tender. Otherwise, let's get into our 2-minute cool down with optional stretching afterwards. And we'll do what we always do. 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot on the straps, do some rowing. Here we go then, in 3, 2, 1, go. So try to keep your technique proper. It's my favourite line from Return of the Jedi, by the way, in case you're a Star Wars fan, is when C-3PO says to Solo, "It wouldn't be proper." And Solo goes, "Proper." It's great. Great line. Sorry, gone off on one again. Okay, swap feet. Do 30 seconds on this leg next. Don't worry if you are a couple of strokes behind me. I know it's a lot easier for me to strap in and out because I've got socks on instead of shoes. Socks thing just means I feel the connection to the foot plate is a lot better, and it also means I don't need to go places with my favourite pair of rowing shoes. Okay, both feet in, legs straight, row with your back and arms. So I'd hate to turn up somewhere for a competition or something and be like, "Oh no, I left my rowing shoes at home. I'm never going to do well." I want, whether I do well or not, to be about how I perform on the machine, not down to whether I've got my lucky shoes or not. Okay, one more after this, then we're going to roll to the front, arms straight, that forward tilt, and just push out from the front. Not too hard, because I want you to think about holding these straight arms and that forward lean with your fingertips or your fingers hooked over the handle. Okay, so this is about posture, but also nice straight arms to get a little bit more length at the front. You can see I'm almost touching the front. Finish. I'm almost touching the front, but I'm not hyper leaning. Okay, I'm not going too far forwards. Neither am I bending, rounding my back too much. I know I've got a slight round to my back. Anyway, sorry. If you have to leave, make sure you do some stretching. If you can do it in the shower, make sure and be careful. If you have time, find yourself somewhere next to your row machine or somewhere in a corner, get a mat or whatever, and a rather serious looking me has just arrived on screen. Hello. And is doing some stretching, so follow along with him. Hamstrings, quads, hip flexors, glutes, biceps, forearms, triceps, and then upper back. I think, is that it? Is there any more? Yeah, so that's the ones that I tend to always do, but obviously you know your body, so you know the ones that you may need to add into this in order to give yourself the proper stretch at the end of a row. Stretching is important. It stops things getting all kind of bound up as they cool down, and it also kind of adds just that tiny little bit more blood flow to them to try and clear out any acids and whatever, or flush more oxygen into your muscles, however you want to, whatever you think stretching is good for, it's good for. The only thing I'd say about stretching is never stretch a cold muscle, so you don't kind of wander up to a rowing machine in freezing cold and start stretching. At least do a couple of minutes worth of rowing to get the blood flowing and the muscles moving a bit. And then if you want to do some pre-workout stretching, it's up to you. I mean, read enough of it online and you'll see conflicting opinions as to whether stretching pre-exercise is helpful or not, especially for rowing. When you think as you come forwards on the rowing machine, as you come in here, everything's nice and tight and it wants to spring straight back out again. Your hamstrings are tight as you come forwards, or ready to spring at least. And so if you stretch off your muscles too much, say everything's like loose and floppy, you might not get that stretch that then wants to spring you backwards. It's the same with what I say about finishing with a handle, is that if you finish with a handle in sternum height, passing your elbows through your sides, and you let a little flare out. I'm not saying you have to, in fact you don't have to. I'll turn sideways so you can see this, okay? Right, what I'm saying is you pull in and you don't want your elbows tucked in at the sides, okay? But you also don't want to come in to the sides like that, okay? Where they're completely perpendicular to your shoulder, or shoulders, because that suddenly puts all the force up here, okay? I know there's an on the water thing where you come in, but there's still a little bit of the elbows to your sides. You're not going completely out. I have seen videos of people saying that you should go like that. And I say no because of how it's kind of putting the forces onto your shoulders. But also, if you come in wrists flat, slight flare out's fine, like I say, but you get your elbows to your sides, you engage your lats, your big back muscles, okay? And they're much more powerful than your shoulders or your biceps or your forearm. And they're designed to take this power more. So if you finish with the handle up in your throat, okay? So you're bending like this, it goes right into your forearm. You can feel it up there. And kind of maybe your shoulders and your biceps, but it's nowhere near your back if you're finishing up here in your throat. And the reason that, apart from the power and the potential for injury and things, but the reason I'm a real bore when it comes to finishing at sternum height and getting those elbows through is, hopefully you've seen me do this before, is when you do this, your body, because of your rib cage and your muscles and your tendons and stuff, your body wants to just bounce those arms straight back again. Okay, so you come in, you bounce back. Only a couple of inches, but that momentum that it creates as you bounce is enough to, as you finish the stroke, you pull in, it just bounces the handle away to about there. And that momentum then, combined with the bungee cord as well, that has a slight pull on a Concept 2, wants to get your arms back forwards again. So you bounce, get your arms back forward with pretty much no effort needed. Not one single watt of energy is needed once that bounce starts. And then as your hands come, that's what triggers your forward lean. And you've got all this momentum, which is already carrying you forwards, so that when you get your hands over your knees, you're in that forward tilt, and all you have to do is bend your knees to slide to the front of the machine. So effectively, from the point that you pull in the handle and that bounce starts, you're using so little energy to return to the front of the machine, because it's all about that bounce and the continuation of momentum moving forwards. Admittedly, on the Concept 2, there's a slightly downward rake, so you're actually just rolling down hills with very, very, very little effort needed, which is why it's called the recovery, because you're recovering from your stroke with very little effort. Whereas if you finish up here, you don't have that bounce, so you not only do you have to wrench yourself back up out of that lean back, so your core gets a massive amount of work. You've also got to then get your hands away, which uses your shoulders. You've then got to tilt your back over again, and then you get the momentum to take you forwards, but you're just using so much energy. And it's all about energy conservation. You want to put all the energy in to that explosion out from the front and the finish. You don't want to be wasting energy coming forwards again. Now, I'm not saying that people can't row fast, the ones that come up to the top. If you look at some of the Crash Bs, you'll see people that are really high up. It's not that you can't row fast, but I think there's a potential to get injured. You're rowing pretty much inefficiently. It's all about muscle power and whatever. And if you don't have the muscles to be able to take that force, then it can just become very tiring, and you can end your row early, or even hell worse is if you end your career early because you're injured. So this is why, when it comes to being a technique bore, I talk about kind of best principles being that you finish with the handle up at sternum height, all right? Sorry, that was an excerpt from a Form Check Friday I tried to make on Friday night, but my microphone problem kicked in and I wasn't able to upload it. So I'm going to make a standalone video that says all of that, so apologies if you have to watch that again. And I'm going to make the Form Check Friday on Friday that does talk about the guy that was doing that, so you're going to hear it quite a lot if you watch my videos. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's lunchtime row. Apologies for this big diversion at the end. I think that was a fantastic one to squeeze in. It's slightly different from the ones I've done so far, and that's kind of what I want to do, is do a little bit of variety. One of the next ones I'm going to do is going to be real variety, because we're going to actually mix up some on the rower and off the rower stuff. I don't do too much of that. I think I've only ever done like 1 or 2 in my entire history of RowAlong. But I just want to do this as a little bit of, because these are little lunchtime rows that you can just, they're like little amuse-bouches of rows, okay? Anyway, right, so my watch is beeping at me, telling me that I need to go back in and have something to eat before I go back to my desk. I do hope you enjoyed this. Please leave me a comment somewhere as to whether you enjoyed this. And of course, this is our first alfresco row of 2022. Yeah, so there you go. For those of you that like have a timestamp of where we are when I made this one, it's Valentine's Day 2022. And yes, don't you worry, I gave my wife a card. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Please check out some of the other videos I have on this channel. And of course, today's hashtag, if you made it this far, is alfresco. Or you can even call it alfresco 22, because it's our first one of 22. Let's do that, okay? Right, I'll see you in another row. Please look after yourselves. Stay safe, be well. Bye-bye.